Perfect Time Machine Transport. Shut this truck off. Do a story time over here in Brooklyn, Iowa at the TA. Got up this morning, insured. About to get to the house. Got some VA appointments tomorrow and Tuesday for my knee and my shoulder. So, anyways, when I was coming out of the shower, I was walking over to the truck, and I remembered this was like a few years ago. It was really odd. I was so I spent the night here at the TA in Brooklyn, Iowa. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Ohio. And when I think it was when I left, I saw I had a missed call, and I was like, what the? So I called the number back. It said it was Iowa, and it was a TA in Brooklyn, Iowa. And I'm like, why would somebody call me from there? And then it dawned on me, it's this one driver. So that's gonna, do these sunglasses look too small on me? I got a big ass head. I got like when a little infant is running around, they got that little ass body. Well, I don't have a little body, but you got that big ass head that kind of, it's like a rudder on a plane, just kind of. So do these sunglasses, do they look like infant sunglasses? Like I'm a fucking baby? Anyways, so I don't know why I just said that, but anyways, so it was this driver, and actually it's the guy. So this is the most scandalous driver I have ever met in my life, and he's actually we're not really boys anymore, but he's actually the one that took me out on the road and taught me how to flatbed. This was back when we were running papers, so he didn't teach me how to log because he never had a logbook. So I learned that all on my own. I learned oversize on my own, but I always thanked him for getting me in the trucking, because when 2008 came, when the economy was shit, I was doing construction, and anyways, I lost everything. And he was the one that told me, he's like, dude, go get your CDL. I'm like, why the fuck would I want to do that? I never ever thought about driving semi. Never did. And I love it. I'm not going to waste a wish, but I should have got into trucking way sooner than I did. Anyway, so I have him to thank for taking my big old head and ruddering me to the CDL and the truck driving industry, or the logistics industry. But he also was and is the biggest piece of shit out there. Scandalous. This dude's got no fucking moral compass, man. None. His moral, it's never points to true north. I mean, this dude is scandalous. So I won't say his real name, but he was actually, I met him years and years ago. He was part of my two brothers' crew, Bobby and Mikey, my brothers, and they called him Carl. That's not his real name, that's his middle name. And so I always knew him as Carl. But anyways, this dude, he was a big drug dealer back in the day. A lot of weed, some birds, which is like kilos of coke and stuff like that. But did a lot of birds and a lot of weed, lots of weed. Anyways, he's actually the one that I met my ex-business partner with, or through. Caesar Lira. I'll have to do a true time or a story time on him. He was on America's Most Wanted. I can't even make this shit up, man. It's crazy. So anyways, I met Caesar through Carl. So anyways, I didn't know anything. I mean, I was straight out of the military. I worked, bought my first house when I was like 24, I think. I had a duplex on the south side of Milwaukee. And anyways, my brother and Carl, they were like peas and carrots. Fucking Forrest Gump and Jenny. These motherfuckers are like peas and carrots. And I had a I bought a new, when they were really like not popular, but it was a nice luxury car, the Chrysler LHS. The shoulder's killing me, man. The Chrysler LHS. Anyways, I had bought it because I was doing I was working for a company as an installation manager, and then I had my own side gig doing security and fiber optics and a car service and all that kind of stuff. So I had bought this car for that reason. So anyways, Carl and my brother Mikey, because all I did, I just worked. That's all I ever did. Worked. And so they would, hey man, can we take the LHS out this weekend? Sure. It's insured. Something happens to it, you know. I mean, and I didn't know that Carl was hustling back then, doing what he shouldn't have been doing. But I was just that brother that was like, yeah, go ahead, take it out. I don't give a fuck. It's just sitting in the garage. And they always brought it back with a full tank, always portered, stuff like that. So anyways, so then I got in the real estate or whatever, and I didn't know anything. Fucking flies. Oh, I hate flies. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, fucking disgusting. So anyways, he, I didn't know anything that he was, you know, running drugs or whatever. He had all these fucking connects and this and that. So, I find out later on when I got into real estate, after that preacher with 9 kids, Ernie Eubanks, fucked me out of 55 grand. And then my ex-business partner for around the same amount. I mean, it was just a time of just craziness back then. So, anyways, I find out from my brothers that, you know, he's moving weight. I mean, this dude is moving some serious weight. I had no idea. Come to find out, my brother tells me that they used to hide in my attic. I had a duplex. I lived upstairs. My tenant lived downstairs. And I had a huge walk-up attic. And me being gone all the time, and when just coming home was just basically to, you know, eat, shower, and go to sleep, wake back up, and press repeat every single day. So I find out from my brother Mikey that they were hiding hundreds of pounds of weed in my attic. I had no idea. They had some birds, you know, some keys up there, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, I had no idea. And I remember Carl, he wanted to buy my LHS. And at this moment, I know he's moving weight, whatever the case is, and the dude never fucking hit my hand with any kind of money. I didn't ask for it. I didn't expect it. But, you know, I find out he's, you know, going on, you know, he's just spending money frivolously on this, and I'm like, dude, you kept weight at my place, my house, for years, from what my brother told me. And you didn't hit my palm once with a fucking $100 bill, nothing. So anyways, he wanted to buy, and this was dirty of me. That's why they call me Dirty Curdy, I guess. No, but actually, he wanted to buy the LHS. And I told him, I said, all right, this is what I owe on it, blah, blah. And it was like 10 grand or something like that. So he brings over the 10 grand cash. No paperwork, no nothing signed. So I kept that 10 grand, and I didn't pay the car off. Anyways, he had, which was dirty of me, I know, but I was like, fuck you, man. I mean, that, you know, Carl used to say, it be like that sometimes. He was half white and half black. It be like that sometimes. So I told him, It'd be like that sometimes, because he had did a lot of people dirty too. Still doesn't justify what I did to him. But anyways, he kept the car. I didn't give a fuck. I mean, I was paying the car off anyways. So he and I are now kind of enemies, I guess. And Carl was always on again, off again. I definitely, like his ex, or actually, I think his current wife, she would tell him that he had multiple personalities. And one of them she used to call was Petey. And when I was in the truck with him, I told him, I said, dude, I don't know who the fuck I'm in the truck with today. I don't know if it's Carl, if it's Petey, and then I would say his real name. I'm like, oh, you know, or is it just, you know, I mean, there was like 4 people in that fucking truck with us. And myself, so 5. It was weird. He definitely needed medication. So this is going to be a long truth, because this dude is that much of a scumbag. So he and I are now enemies, whatever the case is. And then somehow, some way, we started talking again when I was in real estate. You know, I was flipping houses, and he needed some extra work. He had just gotten his CDL like in 2003, I think, with CRST. Anyways, he needed some extra work, so he reaches out to me, and I needed guys to work on houses. I had 15 guys in 3 trucks. I mean, we were doing a lot of real estate. But back in the day, I was just kind of getting going, I guess. And he needed some work, so I said, sure. And we ended up talking again. So let bygones be bygones. It be like that sometimes. And so then fast forward to, well, I got to back up. So Carl used to really party a lot with his own product, smoking dope, this and that. So he had told me one time, because he had broke his back, and nobody really knew why he broke his back. But one night he was confiding in me or whatever, and he said that he was in West Dallas, Wisconsin, the Scandalous, and there was a warrant out for him, and he was still moving weight back then, but there was like a warrant out for him or something. Or somebody called on him or something, whatever it was. Anyways, the boys end up at the front door. He's living on the 2nd floor in like this building where there's like stores on the bottom, and then there's apartments on the top. Well, he's telling, you know, the cops know he's in there, and they're trying to get him to come downstairs, and he's like, fuck you guys, I ain't coming, because he's high, you know. So he ends up running to the back door and getting on the balcony, and he jumps off the balcony, and he breaks his back. So anyways, he also, because he ran with some gangbangers back in the day when, you know, my brother's crew and all that kind of stuff, they were running with some gangs and some kings, I guess. Found out where he and my brothers were hanging out, and some other dudes or whatever, and they did a drive-by, and he got shot, Carl did, in the leg. And I want to say it was a shotgun. I don't know if it had to have been birdshot, but I think it was a shotgun. Anyways, it opened, so he would have died because it hit like his main artery, but they hurry up and put him in the car, and they ran him to the ER, but he almost died. But he's got this big ass massive scar on the inside from his like calf all the way up to almost his nutsack. But anyways, so I mean, I think was he shot twice? No, I think he was only shot once. One of my brother's other guys, Brian, he got shot twice. He got shot in the ankle and another time in the stomach. And I'll do that real quick. So anyways, so they were all running with these, I don't know if it was the 2-1s or whatever, but they were a rival gang of the Kings on the south side of Milwaukee. And Brian, his parents owned a house on like 31st and Madison on the south side of Milwaukee, between Greenfield and Scott Street. And his parents were gone, so he was having this party with all these fucking chain snatchers. And the Kings knew where these dudes hung out, so they dropped off some dudes like around the block. They ran up through the alley and hid behind some bushes. And Brian and my brothers, their whole crew, they're all sitting out on the front porch drinking 40s and fucking being hoodlums. And they opened up on him, and they used to call Brian Fat B. And Fat B got shot in the stomach. Thank God he was Fat B, because it only pierced his fat. So, and then a second time, so my brothers and their crew, they used to steal cars, a lot of cars. And there was this dude, Louis, Mexican dude. He was no punk, man, but I believe he had a Fiero, and it was parked in the alley. And Fat B and I think one of my brothers, or both brothers, they were trying to steal the system out of Louis' Fiero, and so Louis heard him. I don't know, it was like midnight, 2 a.m, something like that. It was late, and Louis cracked open the back door, and he had I don't know what kind of gun it was, but anyways, he took aim and he saw Fat B like kind of like leaning into the car, and he fucking let it rip and fucking shot Fat B right in his fucking ankle. So anyways, dude had some fucking bad luck. Anyways, so fuck, I don't even know why I went off on the Fat B tangent. Anyways, oh yeah, so these guys were all running together, whatever the case is, and blah, blah, blah. So now fast forward, Fat B ended up working for me too. But Carl, Fat B, a bunch of other dudes, Joe, I mean, there was just a lot of guys I had, and always in and out. So fast forward. Oh no, actually, let's get into how I started figuring out that Carl was fucking scandalous. So he used to kick it with this dude, this Palestinian dude, Nazareth, and their uncle was Ziad, and the whole thing was just nothing but just drug dealing, and I mean, it was girls and I mean, it was just crazy, man. And here I am, fucking, just an average hump, trying to, work my ass off and try to get ahead. So anyways, Carl decides he's going to get over on these Mexican mafia dudes, because they would front him, a lot of weight. I mean, that's how he got a good reputation with these. I don't know if they were cartels back then, but I'm sure they probably were. So they would front him all this weight, and then he would sell it, and then he'd pay him, and repeat. So this was nonstop, and he was known as, big weight pusher. So he decides he's gonna it'd be like that sometimes. He decides he's going to get over on these guys. So it was quite a bit of weight. I don't know exactly the numbers, but it was a lot. And he ended up pushing it off on everybody, and he and Naz decide they're gonna go down to Florida. Shoulder's killing me, man. I tore my damn shoulder, tore my damn knee. Anyways, so they decide they're gonna go down to Florida, and my wife bought me this watch. I got a lot of people that say, what kind of watches I have. I'm a big watch guy. So they end up going down to Florida. Hi, baby girl, I love you. To hide out. But they're these fucking knuckleheads, they're young. I mean, they're like 19-ish. And I remember Carl telling me that he and Naz got on a plane, and each one of them had like 60 grand stuffed in their pants, like taped to their legs. And they're going down to Florida because Naz's cousin lived down there. Some Arab dude or Palestinian dude that worked in a store, owned a store, whatever. So they get down there to Florida. I don't know what part. Southern. I want to say Miami, but I'm not 100% sure. So these two motherfuckers, they're too young to rent a car. Because I guess you have to be 21, I guess, to rent a car. So they rented. They're too young to rent a vehicle, but they can rent a U-Haul truck. So they rented this little this was before they did like pickup trucks. You know, you see the Ford F-150s, you know, U-Haul, Menard, all these, you know, companies you can rent their truck for $20 a day, whatever. But this was before then. So he said that they had this little cube van, or like a cube box truck, but it had like a little Toyota pickup truck on the front. So he said these motherfuckers, they're just rolling around in this U-Haul truck because they're too young to rent a car. So he and Naz were living together on the south side of Milwaukee. They had an upper flat of a duplex that this Mexican couple owned. And when they found out, or when the Mexican mafia dudes found out that, you know, they got ganked, you know, it'd be like that sometimes, they went looking for Carl and Naz. And they couldn't find him. So they went to the house. Now I didn't see this, but it was reiterated and confirmed by multiple people. So that these Mexican mafia dudes, they go to the house, and the lady that owns the house, she's downstairs. She answers the door, and they didn't know that she rented the upstairs because it was a legitimate flat. So, you know, they entered the house, and I remember somebody saying that they had brought like a bouquet of roses or something that they left on the doorstep after they were done. So the lady had no idea what was going on, and they tried to get her to talk or whatever, and they ended up breaking her cat's neck. That was all I heard, and they left this bouquet of roses at their doorstep, Carl and Naz's. That's what I heard, and it was, like I said, it was pretty much reiterated by multiple people. So anyways, that was pretty much it. Carl and Naz, they never paid for their crime. They never were caught by these Mexican mafia dudes. And that's all that ever happened. So fast forward, I'm trying to think if there's anything else about Carl. I don't think so, as far as like when he was younger. So let's fast forward. Now he gets his CDL, and fast forward then to 2008. Market crashes. He and I are still, you know, talking, whatever, and we're fucking around doing some shit we shouldn't have, partying and shit like that. And he tells me, he says, you should go get your CDL. He's like, what are you going to do, Kurt? He said, you know, you can't go to construction. Everything's dead. You know, he said, your best bet is to go get your CDL. And I said, why the fuck would I want to do that? Anyways, I ended up getting my CDL, obviously. And because my former trainer that I did a video about, Larry Tolbert, things didn't work out with him. So then Carl was driving for these Serbian dudes, and Slovo and Slavko. They had a couple not a couple, I think they had like 9 trucks or whatever, and they were leasing trailers from a company down in Phoenix, Arizona called Shippers Preferred Express. I'm sure they're probably still around. So Carl was driving for these guys, and he said, you should come out with me. I'll teach you how to flatbed. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he does. And we go all over the country. Things are good, except for the bipolarism where, you know, I don't know who the fuck I'm waking up to that morning because it's either PD or Carl or Carl's real first name, not his middle name. And it was just, but I learned a lot. We ran a lot because we were just completely illegal and we were driving teams. So, anyways, so fast forward, I end up driving for this company, SDS Express, out of Brown Deer, Wisconsin. Carl and I kind of lose contact with each other, and we ended up fucking around and partying at this place, and he had the dude's semi. I wasn't driving for anybody then because I didn't have the experience. So that dude's been in that fucking truck this whole time. There's a box truck next to me with no sleeper or anything, and it's been there since last night. Anyways, dude just woke up. I guess he's sleeping in the front seat. So he's got this dude's, I remember it was a green 780 Volvo, and he had a step deck with it. And he had a load on the step deck. And he was coming through Milwaukee or something like that, and this dude ends up partying. He parks this motherfucker's truck on the street, National Avenue. Parks the semi with the load and everything for like fucking days. And this dude is calling him and calling him and calling him. Finally, they just came and got the truck. And because the truck had GPS on it or whatever. So finally, after like a fucking week, this dude is like, you know, blah, 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 where's my truck? Or, you know, where are you at? Blah, all this other stuff. Because Carl was notorious for getting cash advances from people. He would tell people like, oh, I just stopped, you know, like the people he was driving for. He would tell them, yeah, you know, I need cash advance or whatever. They'd send him a fucking cash advance for a couple $100. He'd spend it smoking, whatever. And then, again, oh, you know, my wife needs money, so then they give him another cash advance. This dude he had a silver tongue, man. I mean, motherfuckers would just, like, believe him. And so anyways, that was the first time. And then there was another time he did the exact same fucking thing. Driving for a different company. They came and got their shit after like a week or whatever it was. And then this is the one that I specifically remember. So this guy, this Pakistani dude, he had hired him. And because Carl, man, he was always fucking companies over, man. This dude would... I couldn't even tell you the real number of companies he worked for since 2003 when he got his CDL. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. You know, it could be a little off, but since 2003 he probably worked for 100 to 150 companies and fucked almost every one of them. This dude was so scandalous. He'd go to work for somebody, and he drove dry van and you know, step deck and flatbed, whatever it was that he could get the hustle from, because he would spend all of his money fucking up with dope and shit like that. And it was kind of one of those things where he would literally, that's a dude in a box truck right there. So he would literally go and pick up a truck and trailer drive for somebody, and if the truck and trailer had brand new tires on it he would take it to these guys, these Mexicans or black dudes in Chicago, and they would pull all the brand new tires and rims and shit off, and they'd put all these used motherfuckers on there. It was all just like bad tires, and then he would go and park the truck somewhere. And this happened time and time and time again. Whatever these dudes needed, he would just bring the truck. This is honest to God. He would just go and he would bring the truck over there, and they would fucking strip it. And and it would drive in, drive out, and he'd go somewhere and he'd just park it. I was like, dude, what the fuck? So anyways, the one I and this happened time and time and time again, because he would have, so much money in the bank, and him and so he had like 6 kids, I think. 6, 7 kids, something like that. Anyways, he would go and he'd fuck off. He would just smoke dope and when we partied together many, many years ago. But then there comes a point in time in your life where you're like, dude, you can't do this. I mean, it's a phase. I mean, whether you're depressed or you got PTSD, whatever the case is, but there's still no excuse for it, right? Sooner or later, you have to wise up and say, I think I'm really going down the wrong path here. So, anyways, I remember this Pakistani dude. So Carl told me that the dude actually, so the guy was out of California, and he flew Carl into Cali. I don't know what part of Cali, and actually picked him up in like, how they have those car services, like I had my LHS, I have like a Lincoln Town Car or whatever, or a Cadillac, whatever it is. And he literally got off the plane, and there was a dude standing there with a fucking sign that had his name on it. And he picked him up and he drove him to the dude's office and interviewed, he wanted to meet him. Obviously, he already did the background check. He already did his, his DMV check, all that stuff. So he just wanted to say hi to him, take him to his truck and trailer. And the guy had really nice equipment from what I remember. So anyways, fast forward, Carl's working for the guy. Carl's coming through Milwaukee and ended up stopping over. So this house that we used to go to or whatever, he stops over there. I'm not there. Oh, and actually, I think I might have been there. And I didn't have my CDL then. And I remember him calling this dude. And I know for a fact I didn't have my CDL, because I didn't know what a POD was. And if you drive semi and you deliver your load, it's called POD, as an acronym for proof of delivery. So anyways, whenever you get paid in trucking, at least if you're, running on, for somebody else, or you got your own authority, you get paid once you get your POD, which, basically is just the receiver. So that means that you basically picked up the load from a shipper, you hauled it to wherever the receiver is, you unload at the receiver, the product is good, they signed for it, they give you your BOL back, and then you submit it to either a factor company or the person you drive for, or the broker, whatever. We use a factor company. So that's your proof of delivery, and that's what you get paid on. So anyways, Carl had a few loads on his trailer. I think probably partials. I didn't know what any of this was. But I realize now, after being in trucking for a while, he was calling this dude, and he had already spent a lot of money on fucking around. And these t-shirts, my mom bought me these t-shirts. My mom's gone now, rest in peace, Betty. But she bought me these t-shirts, and every one of them have a fucking pocket on them. I feel like I need to have a fucking pack of marbles in here. So anyways, he he calls this dude and he needs money. So the truck and trailer have been sitting at this place now for a few days because he's fucking partying. And so he calls this dude and he's like, yeah, he said I delivered this and that. Like I said, I don't know anything about trucking at the time. And he's like, yeah, I got the. He must have been talking about the POD. I got the POD right here. So he scans it over to dude or sends it to him or whatever. So he basically still had the load on the trailer or in the trailer. I can't remember if it was a dry box or a flatbed or step deck or whatever, but the freight was still by the truck. He had never delivered it. So, because he tells the guys, I really need to get paid on this because I got some financial problems. And the guy's like, oh, okay. I gotta put my infant sunglasses back on. So the guy, I don't know if he ACH'd them into his bank account or whatever, but Carl had money. Now he can go back to partying. So when that money runs out, he contacts the Pakistani dude and tells him, I delivered this load or whatever the case is. And the dude ACHs him money, puts it back in his account. Now, this was an ongoing MO for Carl. This motherfucker would do this all the time. And like I said, I didn't know anything about it. But then, obviously, now being in trucking and having our own authority and stuff like that, you kind of know everything that's going on. So you're like, this motherfucker, man. So not only was he sitting there taking people's equipment over to these dudes in Chicago, selling the fucking parts off the truck and the trailer multiple times. Dude never got busted. Cops, I don't know. He never said that cops were ever called or whatever the case is. I guess it's, what it's not what you know, it's what you can prove kind of sort of thing, I guess. Anyways, he did this shit for fucking years, man. For fucking years. Anyways, he finally got some justice. Actually, so let's rewind to the Pakistan dude. Carl had told me, I don't know if it was months later or a couple days later or something like that. He was like, he had told me what, he did to this Pakistani dude. And he's like, yeah, man, he said, I never delivered the load. The dude had to get the fucking truck and trailer fucking recovered and all. It was just a big mess. But the Pakistani dude was calling him, and of course Carl too chicken shit to pick up. And he said one of his voicemails one of the Pakistani's voicemails to Carl was, I'm not going to say his real name, but let's say his real name is Tim. Carl, he says, oh, Tim, I love you, Tim. You are good. I love you, Tim. I love you. And I was like, wow, that motherfucker, he kind of creepy, but and Carl's just laughing about it. I'm like, damn, man, that's pretty fucking ruthless, right? So anyways, we will fast forward. Carl takes this dude from, I didn't know him that well, but he was around the neighborhood. His name's Nick. Nick was a tweaker, man. And Carl was still into his partying time. I've ran into him a few times on the road. I don't hang with the dude. I don't call him. I stay as far away from the fucking guy as I possibly can, because he's always trying to scam people or do this or do that. He's a real piece of fucking work. So anyways, he takes Nick on the road with him. Well, if you take a tweaker on the road with you, that nothing good is going to come from that scenario. Nothing good is going to come from that. It's going to be all bad, all trip. So Carl tells me, he and Nick are in the truck, and Nick is dope sick, so he's like laying in the bunk, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they end up going down to, I want to say it was Nashville or Tennessee or something like that. It was Bowling Green. It wasn't. It was somewhere South Midwest, kind of, sort of. And they end up getting this lot lizard in the, I think it was, I can't really remember all the details, but I remember him telling me that there was some girl in the truck with them, and they were partying, doing whatever, and they were in this truck stop, partying in a fucking semi, and the broad was sitting, I guess, in the passenger seat or the driver's seat. I can't remember. I mean, Carl was sitting in one of the other ones. So she was in the driver's seat, he was in the passenger seat, or vice versa. So his wallet, he tells me, is on the dash, and I guess they're waiting for somebody to bring them some more whatever. And when the car pulls up, this bitch grabs Carl's wallet off the dash, and she jumps out of the truck, and she runs inside the car. Well, the dudes in the car, or it was either one dude or a couple dudes in the car, they had the windows open. So when she got out, Carl jumped out of the truck, Nick's still in the truck, and the car starts to pull off, and Carl jumps into the fucking window. I don't know if it was the back window or the front window, but he said his ass, because he's a big fat motherfucker, so he ran and he tried diving into the car through the open window, and it took off. Well, I guess, I don't know if it was the girl or the guy, or if there was a couple guys, whatever the case is, they're just fucking stealing on this dude, man, trying to get his ass to fucking, and they're driving on the fucking road. And finally his ass falls out. I don't know if he just panicked and said fuck it and just rolled, said fuck it and just rolled out of the window. But anyways, he hit the ground pretty nasty, road rash, all this other stuff. I don't recall if the cops were called, but Carl ended up going to the ER. And when he was at the ER or whatever, they gave him pain pills. And he, according to him, he had given Nick. Now this was years ago. This was, oh my God, it was before I met my wife. 2000, I don't know. It was many years ago. So, anyways, he gives them to Nick. He says, so Nick's dope sick, whatever. And then that was it. They went back home, and like I said, it was stuff that I would see Carl on the road, and it was like, dude, how am I seeing in a semi? I mean, I've seen him in Iowa a couple times. Saw him in Colorado once. I mean, I've ran into this dude just on the road in our semis. I don't know, 4 times ish, whatever. And like I said, you don't ever want to sit there, because he's always got an MO. So, anyways. Fast forward from that time with him and Nick, and he tells me that he's, again, it was either like Tennessee or Kentucky, some city, and he was by himself, he said, and somehow, some way, he was partying with this chick at a truck stop, or he met a girl at a truck stop. It was something like that. And she ends up taking him to this house. And he drove for this company, I want to say Jessup, I think it was. Anyways, I'll tell you some other dirty shit too. So, he tells me that this chick takes him to like this fucking, what do they call it, like a trap house, and it's a house, and it's got like all these like rooms in it, like multiple rooms. I guess you just go in there and party or whatever, and the dealer's there, or some dude that works for the dealer's there, and there's this big ass bowl on a dining room table just full of not good stuff, just full of it. And all you got to do is walk up to it and take out what you want, and then he marks it on a pad of paper and whatever room you're in, and you go in there and you get your high on, I guess. So he tells me that so I guess the dude, either the girl or the guy, they take, I can't remember if it was your wallet or your keys or both, but I know he said that the guy had his keys because I remember him. So what happened was he was, and you don't pay until you leave, I guess. So, which if you're if that's the lifestyle you live, you're going to trust somebody like that? I mean, anyways, so he knows he can't pay because he knows he doesn't have the money that he's partied up. So he tells his broad he's got to go to the bathroom, or the dude, or whatever. And the bathroom's got a window. So this fat motherfucker, he just crawls out the window and he takes off. And the reason why I know the dude or the chick had his keys is because he said, just like I do, and if you drive semi, you should do the same thing. You know, like if you have a front door key to your house stashed underneath a fucking frog somewhere or a rock, you know, that's what we do in semis. We will have an extra key zip tied in the hood or under the stair, case or whatever, or under the step or whatever. Anyway, so he said he had a spare key. So when he got to his truck, he just fucking left. And I was just like, my God. And it was, there were so many stories and truths that he would tell me. I'm like, dude, when are you going to get fucking wise and stop doing that shit, first off? But when is and I don't even know if I would call it luck, but when is your stent gonna fucking run out where you're actually, whatever. So, actually, Carl did not tell me that so there's this black dude that he knows in Chicago, another guy who has his own authority. Forget his name. Really nice dude. Him and Carl actually went to CRST together, got their CDL, and they drove teams for a long while. Super nice guy, got his own authority, got his own trucks, and Carl just fucks that dude all the time. Anyways, he's the one that told me about the sneak it out of the bathroom thing. But then he also tells me that Carl, I guess, had and this is really odd. So you're fucking around on your wife doing what you're not supposed to be doing, or your girlfriend or whatever. But as soon as she does it, now you're upset, and he ends up beating the shit out of her. So the cops are involved. The cops, she does whatever, but the state takes over because I guess it's pretty bad. Brandon, that's a dude's name, black dude's name, Brandon. Anyways, he's got like warrants or something. Carl got warrants from the state where he lived or lives, and I won't say which state it is, but anyways, he ends up talking this other scumbag, Adam, into getting his CDL. And Adam also is a fucking loser. He's like a sex offender. I mean, the dude's just, not Carl, but Adam. He's a real fucking piece of shit. Anyways, him and Adam they know each other from back in the day. Their moms know each other, whatever the case is. Anyway, so his mom calls Carl's mom, and you got to get his, can you help him get his life right? And so Carl ends up getting him his CDL or training him or whatever the case is. So they end up going on the road. Well, they end up getting stopped or pulled into a scale house in Wisconsin, and they got to go into the scale house, and they both show their ID because they're driving teams. And the cop realized, now this is through Brandon. I don't know any of this if it's true, but there's no reason why Brandon would lie to me. I guess they go inside. The cop tells Carl, hey, you got a warrant out for you. I got to detain you or whatever. And Carl ends up fucking stealing on this dude. Drops him. Now that's what I heard. And he took off running. Brandon wouldn't, I don't know why he would lie to me, or maybe that's what Carl told him. I don't know what all the details are on that. But, and then as I'm talking to Brandon, here's another thing. So, I don't know about recently. Well, fairly, so it's 2026, so maybe around COVID, maybe. Brandon and I are talking. I'm not talking to Carl. I just stay as far away from the guy as I possibly can. And Brandon tells me that Carl, because he's still partying or whatever, he gets a job with another company. This guy, I think it's out of Wisconsin. A guy's got step decks or whatever. I guess he had pretty decent equipment. And Carl goes to retrieve to pick up his equipment that he's driving for the guy. He's a new hire, so he's already killing the guy with kindness. Giving him this sob story. I got 7 kids or 9 or however many fucking kids he's got. Let's just say he's got a baseball team of kids, right? So the guy gives him a brand new iPhone. He said, yeah, I give all my drivers iPhones because of these apps or whatever, and you don't have to worry about paying for it. It's part of the package. And Carl takes the iPhone and he asks the guy if, he says, yeah, I'm really in a bind, which a lot of drivers are, financially stressed. So Carl says, I'm really kind of hurting for money, whatever the case is. So he said, the guy said, well, how much do you need? I want to say it was like $1,000, I think it was. Or 1,500. It was under 2,000, but it was like a decent amount of money. Fuck. So, anyways, the dude's like, yeah. So he ends up. I don't know if it was a cash advance or if he gave him cash right there. Did an EFS check. I don't know what he did. I just know that Carl got the money in the iPhone. And he wasn't there to pick up the equipment. He was there to meet the guy or whatever and get all his, stuff in order or whatever before he was going on the road. So he ends up fucking this guy. Taking the iPhone, selling it, and just keeping the money and not driving for the guy. This is crazy. So the guy is obviously pissed. And I don't know how soon after, but it was like, and this was years ago when Brandon told me. It might have been a couple days later or a couple weeks later, but it wasn't long after the dude gave Carl the money and the iPhone that Carl went back to the dude and said, I know I did you wrong, blah, blah, blah. I want to make it right, So the guy ends up saying, sure. All right. He figures it's probably the best way to play it because he needs to get his money back and the iPhone. Obviously Carl's going to reimburse him now because now he's got his thumb on you. Which rightfully so. So Carl ends up, now this is all from Brandon. So Carl's on the fucking road for this guy. And I want to say it was the very first check that Carl had coming from the guy. And this is the kind of guy Carl is. He says, his wife calls him and says, hey, listen, the money went into the account, but it's not what you said it was going to be or whatever. So I don't know exactly how much it was or whatever, but it was his check was what he had coming minus the cash advance the guy gave him, $1,000 or $1,500, and the amount for the cell phone, I think, for the iPhone. So Carl's, this dude's livid. Calls a dude talking shit. You can't fucking do that, blah, blah, blah. Dude's like, dude, you owe me fucking money, man. I don't know if you're going to take off tomorrow. You know, I need to get my money. I need to get my reimbursed funds. So Carl's he's livid. So he's down in Georgia. And you can look this up. Actually, you probably can't because I don't want to give his name, like I said. But I looked it up and it's true. Not that I didn't trust Brandon, but I wanted to see his fucking mugshot. After all these years, I'm like, finally fucking justice. So he's in Georgia, Carl, and he's pissed at the dude. Now, this is also another thing that Carl would do. And it's not just Carl that does this. I've found other drivers that do this shit in the industry. They'll use your fuel card and they'll sell fuel to other owner-operators, like, say, myself. You'll hear on the CBA, anybody want, cheap fuel, whatever the case is. And what happens is these guys, Carl, they'll sit at the fuel pump. They'll slide their company's fuel card. You bring because they're doing it with your semi, so they'll fill up your tanks, and whatever the fuel amount is, so say it's $500, you pay them $250, so it's basically half. And there's a lot of drivers that, I don't know if they're still doing it, I'm sure they are, but there's drivers that do that. So companies actually put a limit on how much you can actually put into come out of your fuel account every day, or how many gallons can go on each fuel card. So anyways, so Carl is over in Georgia, and he starts selling this dude's fuel. Dude doesn't know, but Carl's using his fuel card and he's selling his fuel. And then I don't know if the guy gets smart or somehow, some way the guy found out that Carl was fucking selling his fuel. So he turns the fuel card off. But Carl doesn't know this. Carl goes into the truck stop, gives him the card and his license. He goes out to fills up. Now he goes inside the truck stop. They go to swipe the card, declined. So Carl says, well, I'll just have to go out and get cash or get another card out of my truck, whatever it was. And he leaves. He takes off. So the truck stop calls the Georgia State Troopers on him. And they are behind him on the interstate. I don't know if it was right away or hours later, next day, whatever the case is. But according to Brandon, the troopers behind the semi, Carl's semi, the guy's semi, and it's swerving, lane deviation. So he pulls him over, and come to find out, Carl's high. He's fucking. The trooper finds like a pipe. I don't know if it was meth or crack, whatever the case is, but he finds a dope pipe, and arrests him. They confiscate the truck and the trailer. Because Carl, when he found out the card was turned off, I guess he called, you motherfucker, I'm coming back, I'm taking your equipment, whatever the case is. I don't know all that, but they ended up arresting him, and he was in the Columbus, Georgia sheriff's department. He was locked up for a while because of theft and because he was fucking high. So finally justice was done. And you look back at stuff, and this is the same type of guy, and I kid you not, he literally told me that I why would I make this up, right? When he was training me how to do flatbed and the road and all this other stuff, because before I got into trucking, I was actually geographically illiterate. I mean, I knew where Wisconsin was, obviously where I live, but I didn't. I mean, if I looked at a map, but if now, obviously, being a driver, a semi-driver, you better know the fucking states. But anyways, back then, so he was teaching me all that stuff, and I mean, I already knew how to read an atlas because of the military, stuff like that, like maps or whatever. But I was geographically illiterate. So, anyways, when he was, he was teaching me how to do everything on the road. But like I said, he's the one that got me in the trucking, and I still thank him to this day. I mean, I just ran into the dude, I don't know, last year in Iowa, again on I-80, and so he's driving. So I don't know how that works. I know that when I looked him up in the Columbus, because when I was in the military, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, which is in Columbus, Georgia. So I know it was Columbus because I looked it up and I saw his mugshot. I don't know how that works if you're drunk or high or whatever the case is. Like, how can you still have your fucking CDL? I mean, that should be completely 100%. Like, if you're busted one time, you're done. You're completely done. But anyways, Carl, he's one of these guys. Oh, I know what I was. So when he was out training me, sorry, I always fucking derail. Boom, right off the rails. He had actually told me, and I swear to God, he told me that he is the best driver on these roads. That's honestly what he told me. Swear to God. He said, I'm the best driver out here. That's what he honestly thinks. And I think that's probably pissed off Petey fucking talking about. But this is the same guy that I remember when he was training me, on the road flatbedding, stuff like that, because I had already had my CDL. He backs into a spot. It was like a tight park or something like that. We were at a truck stop, and I'm not gonna lie, he could drive the truck. Was he the best driver out here? Absolutely not. And it doesn't matter if you can drive this motherfucker. You got to have business smarts and common sense, and you got to have respect for how you do your actions when you're out here. But after he parks, he looks at me and he's like, and I've already had enough of these fucking multiple personalities in the truck, because it was real. I was about to put my hands on him a few fucking times too. But anyways, he looks at me, he goes, "You like that, huh?" And I'm like, dude, I mean, you act like you're a brain surgeon because you drive semi. Dude, you drive semi. You're not a fucking brain surgeon. What's the big deal? I hurt his feelings so bad, that dude didn't talk to me for 2 days. Swear to God. 2 days, that motherfucker, I hurt his feelings that bad. He's like, "Man, I can't believe you told me that. You said that to me." He was like noticeably upset. Like, he didn't talk. I hurt his feelings so bad, he didn't talk to me for 2 days. So anyways, this dude he's the biggest piece of shit out here. And I mean, and I'm sure I haven't even touched on every situation. Oh, I remember one time when he drove for this company, Jessup, out of Cudahy, Wisconsin, I think. He was up partying or whatever, and he had to go because they were like, "Dude, you got to take this load." I think they installed like the docks on like big warehouses, the mechanical docks. I think that's what they did. Anyways, he was with them for a while, but I remember him because they were like, "Dude, you got to take this load, man. Like, we've been waiting. It's been on your trailer, whatever." And he's been up for days. So, when he's done, I'm sure, whatever. Like, I mean, he doesn't want to fucking get in a semi and drive. So, anyways, I guess he had finally got to his truck, and he was so tired. He said when he was driving, he drove like, I don't know. I don't even know how long it was or where it was. But I just remember him telling me, yeah, I pulled over and I cut the serpentine belt. And I was like, you what? He said, I cut the serpentine belt. Now, me at the time, I was mechanically illiterate as well. I mean, I used to not even change my own oil on my pickup truck. Now, we got a legit shop and everything else. But back then, I was like, and obviously I knew what a serpentine belt was or is. But I'm like, why would you cut the serpentine? He goes, because I can't, the truck's not going to charge, and I needed to get some fucking sleep, man. He said, I've been partying for, I don't know how many days. He said he was like 2 or 3, 4 days, whatever the case is. And he's like, man, I had to get some sleep, man. Now he's like, fuck that load. I'm like, damn, man. Like, this dude had no conscience, man. He had no fucking conscience. And he would just non-stop do it, man. Like I said, I'm sure I haven't even touched on everything. I don't understand, how this dude was able to get by with all the nonsense and all the bad shit he would do, I mean, he was always a good dad. That I'll give him. Like, he did whatever he could for his kids. And he would, I mean, if he saw like a homeless person on the street, he would give them like $20, hit their hand, but again, he had multiple personalities. So, we know pissed off Petey wasn't giving the fucking homeless dude a $20 bill, or whatever the case is, but it was, if you're in a truck with somebody and you're constantly just battling these different personalities, that's not healthy, man. But yeah, man, and I'm sure I've missed a lot of other shit, that I've heard about him, or I've, actually heard from him, not just about him, but, again, like this, and this dude, like I said, man, selling other people's brand new tires and parts and just all kinds of stuff. It's like, dude, what the fuck, man? And he's still out here to this day driving. And I only know that because, like I said, I saw him last year out here in Iowa. And I was just like, how the fuck is this dude still driving? How does he still have his CDL, man? But anyways, it's super crazy. And I mean, he would steal people's tarps, sell them. He would, take the company's CB out, sell it. He'd take the GPS out of the truck, sell it. I mean, this dude was always ripping companies off, man. And it's like, how does a driver get by with that? I don't. How is that possible? And they say, welcome professional drivers. That's what they have over the doors when you walk into a truck stop. Welcome professional drivers, or what? It's like, not all you motherfuckers are professional, man. That's for sure. So, anyways, this fucking video's gone way too long. But anyways, I'll mention Carl again, I'm sure, because the next truth I'm going to say is probably my ex-business partner, Caesar Lira, being on America's Most Wanted. You can look him up. That was my one of my business partners. Not wearing it like a badge of honor, just another one of fucking Kurt's sagas. So, anyways, I hope all is well. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Ciao.